Good afternoon. Thank you for joining us, and I'm delighted to welcome to the Burgess Salmon stage John Batten, who's the Director of get the right order, Global Cities Director for Arcadis, and he's going to be talking us through different perspectives on different cities via his postcards. So John, welcome and thank you.
Thank you, Chris. Appreciate that. So here's a quick video of what we're going to talk about today is commuting, mobility. I'm talking about future mobility, and I'm giving you perspectives from various global cities which are actively incorporating this major disruption. But before I begin, I want you to know this is the third time I have been in Birmingham in 3 months. I live in New York City. It's not typically a destination I go to. I was here in September, October, and November. And I like coming here. I think it's a very progressive city, and you're doing a lot of interesting things in the West Midlands. However, I have a problem with my spouse who lives in New York City, because she has a different perspective of Birmingham. 3 years ago, we had a partners conference in the Belfry, which is just outside of Birmingham. And I explained that I couldn't come home to New York because I had to be in Birmingham for a partners conference for the weekend. And my son, teenage son who tracks his dad on the iPhone, "Where's my dad?" comes running in to tell my wife, yeah, he's at a golf resort in Birmingham, England, and I play golf. So my wife says, why don't you just level with me that you're there to play golf, giving me this BS that you're at a partners conference. So when I came back, moved the clocks forward in September, I said, I'm going to Birmingham. Another golf junket. And my wife today believes I'm playing golf. So she has this vision of Birmingham like a Pebble Beach golf resort. This is a very New York sort of, isolated mindset. Just imagine that. But I'm pleased to be here. Take some pictures of me and put them on social media so I can prove to her that I'm actually speaking. I told her Highways UK, and she said, yeah, right. Okay, so mobility. And that's the key word here, and that's the word we're using, but there's all kinds of descriptors around it. There's future mobility, connected mobility, new mobility, digital mobility. It all really means the same thing. We're moving into a new era of the private sector working with the public sector. We're still working in the core around roads and rail, but we're connecting it with micro-mobility, drones, and other forms of future mobility. If you go to our website, you can go to our website, and we have some really cool infographics that describe the changes that are occurring in the world of urban mobility. And this is through the eyes of different commuters and their experience in their actual commute to the city or away from the city. It incorporates first and last mile options. It incorporates core mobility from rail and parking, etc. And give it a try. It is very friendly. It has some really nice ways of describing the different modes that are entering the marketplace in cities. It's very friendly. It's at arcadis.com. This is another Jorge who is commuting across town. He's using scooters. He's using Mas. He's using Metro and Cav. And then again, we have the experts. One of whom is sitting in here. You'll see him in a second. There he is, walking through the infographics of the various commutes, and we're posting about one a week as we go. We have 6 cities that I'm going to be talking about. The first is Singapore. To own a car in Singapore is an absolute fortune. They tax you to death to own a car, and it's not really viable for a lot of people. So they want to put some really, really low-cost ways of people to get into cars in a shared sense, and they've formed a business relationship with Blue SG out of France. We helped Blue SG site 300 charging points in 2019, and that work has just been completed. And we'll be working with Blue SG to site another 2,000 charging points in the city of Singapore. And here's a video that gives you a sense of what Blue SG is.
Service in Singapore, which comes in complement to public transport, and which is going to bring another option to the Singapore residents. You have public transport, you have private cars, but we also bring for the first mile, last mile, an option to the Singaporeans who can then not have the necessity of owning a car in Singapore. The objective is to reduce the reliance on private cars. Private cars are very expensive, cause congestion, cause pollution, and therefore, whenever you absolutely need a car, you can take Blue SG. Otherwise, public transport is a very good option.
So how are we going to roll out the additional charging points? We're going to use the available data. Now, Singapore is a very rich data city. Lots of data to look at. They have income level data, demographic age data. They have tourist attractions data, vital infrastructure data. And we've created this dashboard, a mobility platform dashboard, and we're optimizing the site selection for the remaining sites to get from 300 to 2,000. And that's a project we've just started and will end at the end of next year. So it'll be one of the largest car-sharing electric fleets in the world in the city of Singapore by the end of next year. Now, this is a city close to home here. This is Cardiff. Cardiff has a NOx problem, an air pollution issue, and it needs to move quickly into compliance. And one of its strategies to do so is to move to an electric fleet, electric vehicle approach for the city of Cardiff. So some of the background here, they are in non-compliance on NOx. And Cardiff, as a city, has fewer electric vehicle charge points compared to other UK cities. So there's a real challenge there, in terms of that there's really no policy around implementing EV, and recent regulation changes mean that delivering on-street EV is a bit more challenging than it used to be. But we figured it out. We developed an 8-point step-by-step guide about how to install a robust charging network in the city of Cardiff. It includes the evaluation of the current infrastructure technologies, the delivery models, public-private partnership kind of models, and what would be the best way of selecting and optimizing the locations for those charge points. And if you're interested in this project, tomorrow there's going to be a deep dive with the City of Cardiff and one of my colleagues, Tom Morgan, on this specific project. This is a very recent project. This speaks to the importance of getting the private sector engaged with the city. We're not going to move into the new mobility space, public agency, public authority alone. The private sector must be at the table. And this is a program that we've worked on with the City of Lisbon to incorporate a corporate mobility pact, sort of a pledging agreement that the private sector is going to work with the city, particularly as it relates to rolling out new mobility hubs. And here's a video describing that pact. vibrant city. That's important. And have you heard of the World Business Council for Sustainable Development? It's an organization based in Geneva, Switzerland, devoted to creating sustainable businesses, sustainable cities. It's a really great think tank, and we're active members. The city of Amsterdam created a new central business district outside the historic center. It's called Zuidas. And it's a major employment area and major corporate headquarter area in Amsterdam. You may have visited it. It also is the home of South Station. It's also the home of a great deal of congestion at peak hours. So what the city of Amsterdam did is challenge the corporate community in the Zuidas to look at ways of optimizing the journeys of the employees in that district. And they created a concept here called master plan. So mobility as a service plan, and the master plan has just been completed. It involves the employees in the district, the corporations in the district, and the city of Amsterdam, and it tries to optimize the first and last mile journeys of the employees in that sector to reduce individual car traffic and congestion in the Zuidas. This is a project that is near and dear to my heart. I live right around there, right? And you don't know this, but there's two types of garbage pickup in New York City every day. As a resident of New York City, you get to have your trash picked up by the city, and those guys like to work during the day. They're called New York sanitation workers, and their contract says they only work during the day. And all the commercial waste haulers, which come from Soprano Land, also known as New Jersey, come across after hours, and they pick up all the commercial trash in New York City, and it's the Wild West. It's a free-for-all. Every truck can pick up its own waste based upon their customers, wherever those customers may be. We looked at the data and many people complain about the pollution, the noise, the congestion that results from this very, very inefficient waste hauling situation. We then looked at the data because all this is in manifest because they get paid for the hauling, and we reduced it in half by optimizing the routes and the pickup lanes in the districts in the city of New York, and this has just moved into a New York City Council resolution to change the commercial waste hauling practices of New York City. And these guys were also incentivized to carry as much waste as they could back to New Jersey instead of recycling, and now there's a recycling ordinance in the city of New York. So using mobility data, you can make really substantive change in a city such as a scale of New York City. And this is the last example I'm going to give you. This is a project we just did in Los Angeles 2 weeks ago, October 18th through October 21st. It's called Code Orange, and it's a hackathon. And these are Arcadians from around the world who are working with the Los Angeles Department of Transportation around getting the city ready for a car-free Olympics. 10 teams, 70 participants, 3 challenges, 1 goal, improving the quality of life in Los Angeles, which has some of the longest commutes in Northern America. The commutes can be really challenging. The entire infrastructure of the city of Los Angeles was built around the automobile, right? And if you've been there, you can maybe experience it. You can remember Woody Allen going to Los Angeles from New York and saying, the thing I like most about Los Angeles is you can make a right turn on a red, which you cannot do in New York City. So we looked at the data that's available in Los Angeles. There's lots of it, and we're looking at ways to encourage sharing, encourage micro-transit. And here's a video talking about the vision of Los Angeles as it prepares for the 2028 Olympics.
Los Angeles is not known to be a city that promotes active mobility, yet it's sort of a car-centric city. However, I think if you talk to LADOT and you talk to the mayor, they are energized on this conversation. They're talking about in 2028, the Olympics being a car-free Olympics. That's a massive paradigm shift in how we think about large events. And how are they trying to accomplish that? They're ahead of the pack in terms of experimenting with scooters, bikes, e-bikes, because they recognize that the first and last mile and that short trip distance in Los Angeles is a sweet spot in Los Angeles. I think the stat is that 40% of rides for for-hire vehicles in LA are less than 2 miles. So if you think about the climate of LA and you think about the need for short trips, what a tremendous opportunity for scooters, e-bikes, active mobility of all types and modes, and I think LA absolutely recognizes that and is seizing upon this and taking a hardcore analytical approach to catalyze the most change.
All right, so final slide. As you prepare in your city to move into the new mobility space, the smart mobility space, the digital mobility space, however you want to define it, understand what the vision for that city is, just like you expressed, that Los Angeles just expressed. Understand the market conditions in that city and how easy it is to form public-private partnerships. Engage with the privates and the publics, the cities. That Zuidhaus example I gave you in Amsterdam, we're all commuters. We all have that in common, and we all experience the challenges of that. Be playful around delivery models. You don't have to deliver this in a conventional way anymore. A lot of the privates want to come in here. They want a revenue share. They want to maybe once in a while data share with the city. But you can be much more innovative around business models. When you roll something out, the end user is the ultimate person you want to satisfy in this, right? The end user experience. And the reliability and the confidence that people get as users, as they experience inclusive, accessible transport is the name of the game. So thank you for taking pictures of me and proving to my New York City wife that, in fact, I have been at Highways UK today and not hitting around.